Hello, Hannah. How are you today?
Oh, I'm good. I'm feeling good. How are you?
I am so ready for a little laugh and learn. Hopefully, the less cringy version of like a lunch and learn where they ask people to just work for free over their lunch break and it's pizza. Uh, I don't know. I was looking through some of the messages that we shared right before we went live today. And they're a bit humbling.
I will say, Leslie, I think you're worse than me. I think you're worse than me. I feel like I'm just gonna say it from the outset. I think I won. I'm less cringe. Or
Oh my
maybe
God.
all my
Hey.
other cringe ones I think are just not showing up. It was too hard to find. So maybe I found the cream of the crop.
You're pulling no punches straight out of the gates here. I honestly, some of them were bad. The ones that were like circa 2013. Oof, oof. Well, I mean, I think we jump in. I'm assuming most folks know us, but just in
Yeah.
case, let's do a quick intro first. Why don't you kick us off?
Sure. Really happy to be here, everyone. I'm Hannah Ajikawa, CEO and founder of Revenue Funnel, trying to build a services firm that helps B2B tech companies to convert much more pipeline at high door values. And that is done by deploying a series of frameworks that help your buyers to buy. So that's me in a nutshell. Been in sales for a very long time. I think this is like my 16th year. Did every role. So from the trenches to leadership to player coach, everything. And over the last 5 or so years, I've worked with about 41 different go-to-market teams on their sales process optimization. So I'm really excited about doing this really weird LinkedIn Live. It's strange.
You've been so creative, and I love that you came to me with this idea. And I'm so excited. Before we jump in, hello, folks. I am Leslie Vanetz, the founder of the Sales Led Go to Market Agency. Honestly, such a similar story. Like 16 months in, have been building this business, helping go to market motions. I specify on outbound, though, for about the last 6 years. Prior to that, IC made over 250 cold calls, did the player coach role, burned out 3 times, did the sales leadership game, have sold all the products and all the different roles. And you're going to see some of those sales attempts today. Today. Okay, I am going to switch screens. And folks, if you want to play along
Yeah.
and you have a particularly cringe post or LinkedIn DM that you're willing to share with us, you're willing to maybe be a bit vulnerable with us, drop it in the chat. You can tell us whether or not you want us to critique you, because if you don't want, like, we will not pick on you. If you don't want us to, we'll only pick on each other. But if you just want a little bit of laughter, you want to be a part of it, please drop that in the chat. Okay, let's dig into this first DM. I know. You want to know what's so interesting about this? So, 2018, I was leaving a job, and I knew that I needed to expand my local Chicago network. I had sold a national territory for almost my entire career up to that point. So I had this huge base of connections, but like none of them were in Chicago. None of them were people that could hire me. And it's the whole like your network is your net worth. So I'm like, okay, I gotta go and connect
Yeah.
with all
Yeah.
these people. I I bet you I sent this message or some variation of it to probably, I don't know, 500, 600 people. Insanely high accept rate.
Yeah.
Great, like super high accept rate. So I think there's something to be said for this type of message, even though it's pretty cringe and it's really generic. And it's like, as my friend Taylor Core says, I'm literally just reading the news to them. What I would change now, what I do change now is that if I'm sending connect messages because I want to start a conversation, which I did in this case, like I wanted to start a conversation that would lead to networking, that might lead to opportunities, then I write a message that starts a conversation instead
Mm.
of just reading the news to them about how much we have in common.
Yeah, I do the same. I think I'm on your page there. I will if I'm going to start a conversation, and I've booked probably 6 or 7 meetings in the last few days doing exactly that. I wanted to start a conversation based on I've got very tangible reason for them to hopefully say this makes sense. But if it's like just, hey, let's expand networks, I could probably share value in their feed because the content that I create, then it's just blank. And if they see it, and that gets like probably like a 32% connect rate, just blank with people that I would usually engage with, which are senior sales leaders. So yeah.
My blanks are still my highest accept rates, but it doesn't start a conversation.
Yeah.
And the reason I pulled this particular screenshot out is that this person's name was Brad, not Mary.
You left that small detail out.
So we're like, yeah, we're going in hard to start. I did not
man.
even include the right name, which I'm not sure at that point, Hannah, is it worse to have the wrong name, or is it worse to have it just be like, hi, first name?
The wrong name. Someone messaged me, someone connected with me and was getting really happy in the inbox after I connected. And they were like, listen, fella. And I was like, oh, I'm not a fella. And he's like, this is the most awkward moment of my life. It's like, absolutely, you should feel ashamed. So yeah, it just gets worse and worse.
I had one of those in my Instagram inbox where the person just kept calling me bro. Bro. Yeah, amazing. Okay, so you have a similar
this is brilliant.
Oh, we're moving into the I era. Oh, these ones were humbling. Tell us about this message.
So here's the first thing. This was in 2012. Yeah, I think it's 2012. So I booked this meeting, by the way. And
2013, April 24, 2013.
I booked this meeting and he sent me his cell phone number to those in the States, but his mobile number immediately. No, nothing else. Just my number is this. I was like, look at this. I'm so good. All right. So it's a really long message. I was like, I'm not sure if you read the note I attached to the invite. So back then I put a note in every invite, actually. I never said that was like, you didn't do that in 2012. You introduced yourself formally like royalty in your invites, right? But I was like, so let me see. Let's find some good bits, right? So I was hoping to open up a discussion. So I want to, I would like to talk to you. There's lots of that, rather than send you detailed information over the email. That was like my go-to line all the time. Like, I'm not sending you an email. I want to talk to you on the phone.
Yeah.
With a view to support your big ticket team. However, I did a lot of research. So that's something that I preach about research so much. You'll find in my messages, I always did research almost every time. There's a few generic things in here, but most of the time, if it's like this big company, which I actually went through, I ended up going through a sales process with them. But we concluded with it. It didn't make sense at the time. But this time, I would never send this as my first message. It's like 50 words in a LinkedIn message before you can evolve it. But this is an email in an inbox, and the chat wasn't even this stable back in the day. So it's not great. But I got the meeting.
I know. So that's one of the things that when I was going through these messages that I kept coming back to, so I was like, gosh, they were really bad, but they were working. They were working. Like looking through both of our messages, one thing that we never did, even at my cringiest, my worst era, is a lot of the connect and spam.
Yeah.
So I think even though we got it wrong in a lot of ways, like there is still a thread of like trying to build rapport. It was still very me centric.
Yeah.
But we were trying when we're just spamming people's inboxes. Yeah, less words. Okay, here's another. There's a lot. I did a lot of like the I era.
Yeah.
I hate
17.
it. Well, it's something that like you were talking about how much you talk about research, same, and I talk so much about the I to we ratio in messaging to earn the right, like my entire sales methodology to earn the right to their time and attention. Like you have to make it about them. And then these messages are like, I hope, I'm a member. So you really see it in this message. And this actually isn't a work message. I was on the board for the Chicago Children's Museum for many, many, many years. So this is me trying to get folks to sponsor, which is still
Yeah.
a sales message, just not
Yeah.
for my like revenue generating job. And it is and then the dreaded pick your brain request. I cannot.
I feel like every time someone says that, money could leave their account and just go straight into the recipient's account. That's what should, every time you say pick your brain, you should just go cha-ching and you should send them money, because that's you're you're just it's theft.
I like very literally, not joking. If people ask me to pick my brain now, I reply with a HubSpot link that's paid.
I've done that before as well. I
Yeah.
send the paid link as well. They're like, oh, I didn't think it was just gonna be a casual informal chat. I'm like, yes, we can chat informally. That's
Yeah.
fine.
It's your money. You can use it however you want. If you want
Yeah.
this to be casual and informal, yes, I have like a text expander. And I'm like, great. The best way to pick my brain is by booking through this link at $250 per 30 minutes, like chin chin.
Have fun.
Yeah, but here I was a decade ago, just
I love it.
I would like to pick your brain because I am important and I want your money.
So, you know what I have said, like selfishly, so I'll call out something specifically. I've said in message, like selfishly, I saw that you did this, this, and this. I do this, this, and this. But this is someone that I'm already connected to. And just being like, I am going to take something from you, but I will give you all of these things back. Like, is that a bargain? And then people be like, yeah, actually, that's fine. So yeah, it can work. But yeah, that cold message, Leslie.
So cold. I know.
All right, what we got next? What have I done now?
More of the I era. More of the I area. This was more recent. This was 2017. So I think I pulled this one out because while I would not send it today, I was getting closer. Like you can really see around like 2017, my social selling, it evolved. Like the messages were much better researched, not so generic. And they weren't so, I mean, this is still I focused, but it at least says like something about them and about the value.
Yeah.
So I'm evolving a little bit here. So I wouldn't send this today, but I'm going to give it a 7 out of 10 still.
Yeah.
But you see a lot of the same themes. I focus, very seller-centric focus. And I'm just in here reading the news to them again. Hi, Mosa. Or like, I found Mosa on the workplace wellness list. They already know that.
Yeah.
They're already super, super aware of that. And then like I'm gonna give myself another negative point for not explicitly telling them why they should care. Like I'm including a little something in here to pique their interest, because the 75 like check signers at the big brands, like that's nobody else was really doing it. Like that was a pretty sexy little value prop. But I failed to then take just a little bit of extra time to be specific about why it mattered to them. What do you think? I have a CTA light in here, though.
Yeah, I see you. Look at
yeah,
you.
What? Yeah, that's like way before that was popular.
No, I don't think it's terrible. Like I would even respond to messages like that now if it's relevant. Like if someone spoke about a dinner for CROs tomorrow and said, "Hey, Hannah, I just realized you do this, and I saw that you're focused on this," I would be like, "Cool." Like it's not, I'm not I don't mind. So dropping the I in this instance just to shorten a sentence so you don't say I don't like found Mosa. I don't think it's, but it's when you're 4 paragraphs deep and it's I this and I that and I, then it's a bit different. I think it's decent.
Thanks. Appreciate that. What folks that are joining us, what do you think? I gave myself a 7 out of 10. Hannah, what would you give this out of 10?
Was that to me?
Yeah.
I would say 7's not a valid. You can't say that. Like MPS, you can't say 7. I'd say I think it's decent. I say 7.5.
7.5. Okay, I love it. I want everybody else to rank me. Drop a comment in the chat. How would you rank this message? But to your point, it did work. It didn't have a huge conversion to conversation because that really, like, you had to catch the right person at the right time.
Yeah.
But it did work. It did result in meetings. Okay, let's see what else we have in this I era, I hope era.
Oh man, I think up until 2018, I was still saying, I hope this email finds you well. It might have even. I'm lying. I think it might have snuck into COVID times. I think that was my go-to. I was like, it would be like, I hope this email finds you well. I hope it treats you well. I hope it's landed well. Like just everything about it being well. But I hope you don't mind me contacting you. I wanted to follow up on some information that was sent out to you last month. Is there a convenient time to talk this week? I'm still waiting. It's been almost 12 years, and I haven't had a response to that yet. So there's a lot of hope. There was a lot of hope in this nudge. So this is obviously multi-threading, omni-channel outreach, right? 12 years ago, where I'd already sent an email, and I was selling to procurement leaders. That was hard. They're just not interested, really. So selling company information and risk management tools to procurement leaders, and hadn't responded. So I was that, like, I like a 5-strike rule. So just like bam, 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 like at least 5 calls, and then everything else would be to complement it. So I would say just be more direct, because it's like some information regarding company information is just like, now it would be more like, I sent you an email the 14th of March at 3:18. If you search this in the, like, you have to be really literal, because everyone's trying to find, like, how can you make this easy for me? Like, don't make me work. The worst thing you can do to a prospect is make them work to work with you. Like, why? How have you interrupted my life telling me that you've got this new great thing and now I have to do work? Like, particularly in the beginning. So when we are doing nudges, they have to be very intentional and specific. So I send you an email at this time. If you type in the subject is this, 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 and this, the goal was to do this. Just, are you able to do it? You don't want them to, unless you send something very long and specific, and depending on your product. But if you can refer to that, but they maybe don't even have to go back to it, they can still take that call to action with you in this message, then that's really what you want to focus on. So yeah, Mr. Procurement guy, it'd be nice if you got back to me, Paul. I've been sitting here.
Paul. I want to stay on this one for a second, because you said a lot that was really brilliant, and I think is worth repeating, because while this is a laugh and learn, I also want to make sure that folks take some, like, tactical bits away. So something that you were talking about was just, like, generally removing friction. Like, how can we make it as easy as possible for the person to get the point of the message? Why are we contacting them in the first place? And then also know exactly what we want them to do as a result. If you were going to send this message today, and, like, boy, do I get it. I literally worked for a company called Procurement Leaders and sold to Fortune 500 CPOs for 4 years during the pandemic, when the supply chain was a shit show. So I get it. I feel your pain. But if you were going to rewrite this message today, what would that direct call to action be?
So I try to drive a warmer interaction. So I would give Paul a taste of whatever it is that he's going to experience in that next action. So there would be like a 30-second loom, or some kind of animation, a drawing, an image, just something that's like, this is what it is.
Love that.
Right? Yeah. Because I want them to do. So I even sent out an outbound message. I sent out like 20 messages the other day. I just said, I don't even want to talk to you. Just like, go check this. If it looks interesting, come back. But the call to action that prompted me was that if they entered their email address, I'd be pinged, so I know that they checked it. Then I just went back to the people that did that. So it's like, now people are like, I don't ask for their time, and also it might waste your time. So you want to, so that's why I feel like some of those volume plays can work if you where you can be a little bit more relevant rather than personalized, and get a higher volume of outbound, so that someone can actually respond to a very specific thing. But you have to get targeted. Like, don't go and email accounts payable about procurement solution. It's not gonna right. So so if I was messaging Paul now, I'd just give him a taste of what it is and what that call to action is. And if he responds, it's much warmer. Like, it's just so much warmer beforehand. I don't want to talk to Paul for no reason. I'm busy.
Yeah. Couple more questions. First, I teach that, like, personalization at scale. What I teach is value-based segmentation, and it's exactly what you said. Like, there is still room for a quantity play.
Yeah.
Like sales is still a numbers game. I don't care what the gurus are telling you, but it's a quantity play and making sure that you are sending that volume to the right segment so that you are not sending a procurement message. How often in your LinkedIn, Hannah, are you doing like voice notes or videos or GIFs or like something that isn't text only?
Yeah, I try to do voice and video at least once a week to a select, like a section of my contacts. I'm not religious at it because I don't do as much outbound as I would have been doing like back in the day. But that's just, I find it easier. I text. I feel like voice. I always say voice and video is forgiving. Text, you get people that are very specific. Oh, you used a semicolon wrong. I'm not talking to you. Like people take English language very seriously. But if you send a voice note, you can and R and huff and puff and no one cares. And also, again, there's only like 0.3% of people on LinkedIn doing it. So why would you not?
Yeah, I completely agree. Big +1. Okay, I think this is I'm going to pop this comment up from Nigel because I think it's really important to answer. And it's one that keeps coming up. I have a really strong opinion on this, but I want to hear yours first.
So, hi. Or hey is the first thing. It depends though. Like, are you talking about someone that you've recently connected with? So I found now sometimes even saying like, so I'll never say I hope this finds you well ever. It's just not happening. I'm more of a sharer now. I actually encourage reps to share first because that kind of it frames the tonality of the conversation, right? So if I'm saying hey Leslie, I just got back from kicking ball in the park with my son. How's your day been? You're like, oh, this is a much friendlier conversation, right? Like, because if I just say, how are you doing? You're going to say, I'm fine. Whereas if I tell you what I'm doing or what I've done or what I've achieved, I even had someone tell me about Vipassana meditation, I think it's called that. And we just got into this whole conversation. I'm lost on YouTube now, down a rabbit hole learning about it. But that's because I shared first. So I try to do that as often as possible. But I just feel like I just get to the freaking point, man. Particularly if it's cold, get to the point. Like, I don't start asking people, I hope they find you well. And because that you've eaten, like someone said it the other day, I loved it. They were like, you're using up your email real estate. Yeah. When you do that. So now you have the point, that next point, that point that was going to save their life, they've missed it because they just deleted your email or
bingo. So much additional brilliance there. The sharing, I love that tip. That's how I teach folks to open calls instead of like, how's the weather? How's the sport? I share something about myself. Oh, I just wrapped this book and it's taking up all this space in my mind. I can't stop thinking about it. Oh, I'm excited to get on my bike later. I volunteer something about me, and the genuine connection that comes out of that. A genuine connection that will never come from talking about the weather is so powerful. So big +1 on that tip. I love it. And on the I hope you're well, 2 reasons that I, like you, absolutely unequivocally never use this. One, it is so selfish. Like, you don't really hope they're well. You maybe hope generally like the population of people as well, but you do not know this person.
Yeah.
Like, you do not know what's going on in your life. You are starting an email with I hope you're well to make you feel better. It's not about them, it's about you, which I know is like really like brass tacks, tough to hear. I'll be the one to say it. And to your point about real estate, gone are the days of obsessing over the perfect subject line. We've now entered into the era of optimizing your preview text. So this is certainly more on email than LinkedIn, but you have 80 characters of preview text to get somebody to decide if they want to keep reading, if they want to see more. And if you're wasting that entire preview text on, I hope this finds you well.
And the worst, Leslie, is I hope this finds you well. I know you are a really busy executive, so I do not want to take up too much of your time. So I'm just going to keep this brief. And I'm like, oh my God.
Delete. We've already deleted it. And the next sentence is probably, so I'd like to pick your brain because I have a quick question about synergy. We're done with that. We're going to replace it with
love
relevant reason for the outreach. And this works in
Yes.
email. This works as your cold call opener. This works in LinkedIn. Relevant reason for the outreach. I love that. Okay.
What's
What
next?
do we have next?
We
And
got loads. We got to move faster,
questions
Leslie.
going.
We got loads.
Yeah, we love the questions, so keep those coming. Okay. What did I do here, Hannah? Circa 2020. So this one is recent. Oh, this one is honestly really hard to share because this was a very like a really, really tough time in my life, like in my professional career.
Yeah.
I was leaving a job, not because it was a bad job. It just was not the job for me. We got some PE money and it really, and I was really, really, really struggling in my job search. I was like getting offers, but they were not the right offers. And there was just a lot of like disrespect for sales as a profession because I was talking to founders, a lot of like gross sexism and gender discrimination happening. And I was feeling desperate. And I sent some messages out of desperation. And this is one of them.
Yeah.
And you can see me minimizing it in the message, even though it was something that was like so important to me. Like, it's a small ask. This isn't a small ask. This is such a big ask.
Be my job BDR. Thanks.
Right? And then, yeah, ask them to do all of the heavy lifting. So, like, to your point on the earlier message about like removing friction and making it easier for them, I did none of that. I was like, hey, can you just find me a job, please?
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's, you know what? And so and let's just admit one thing. Doing the legwork and removing the friction means we have to take on the work.
Yeah.
Like, we get that. It's actually, sometimes you're like, oh gosh, I know I need to do this, but then we take the shortcut. We know we're supposed to remove the friction. As an example, the other day, booking a meeting with one of the teams at Google, I knew a contact there and I sent them 6 people. And I was like, this is why I think this is the person I should meet. And they responded, I don't know any of those people. However, I have found someone for you. So I just started the process for them. And it made them think, you know what, it's kind of like that reciprocity thing, like, oh, you really did some research. Let me go give her the right contact. I've actually booked 3 or 4 meetings just doing that. I always do that because it takes legwork. But if you are going after the right company, you've got the value-based message, you've got a core value proposition for the right company, and you're doing the legwork, it's a bit like, I just have to do that and I can help you. That's fine. But don't say, hey, Leslie, who is responsible for things at said company? They're like, what does things mean? Oh, actually, right? And you're like, oh man, this is terrible. So yeah, we need to take the friction out and do some of the legwork. And it's hard. Oh well.
It is extra work, but it's extra work that's worth it. Like, if I was going to resend this message today, I would send not a totally different message, but instead of saying, hey, will you keep me in mind? Which is so generic and like ethereal, like what? I would say, hey, here are 2 roles that I found that people that we have as a shared connection are hiring for.
Yeah.
Like, I would give them something. And I think what really bothered me about going back and reading this message from just 4 years ago was that it was literally not just what I was teaching my team, but also the cornerstone of my process for multi-threading and working enterprise deals, that I would say, hey, here are the 4 people who I also think would need to be involved in this buying committee.
Yeah.
Did I get that right? Here's a template to help you introduce me to them. Like, I was doing it in my job. And then when it mattered to do it for myself, I didn't.
Yeah, I'm guilty. I've done the same thing over my entrepreneurial journey in the last 4 years. I'm like, I'll go back to a message on LinkedIn and be like, why did I send that? Like, that was late. It was a bit lazy. And it was like, I didn't even need to act desperate in that moment, but it was lazy. And I think, like, it's just admitting that we are all guilty of doing that. We know, because we just think, maybe if I'm lazy this time, it will work anyway. Like that kind of spray and pray type thing, like, it will work. And it's like, no, it didn't work. Then you do the hard work and it works. Surprise, surprise. So yeah.
Correct.
All right, what we got coming up? Are you able to help? Oh, the little helpy pokey pokey. 2011. So I was 2.5 years into my sales career. So let's see the old personalization. I'm 100% certain you will not know me. Oh, I like that. This is 2 years into my career. We're cheeky. But we have one thing in common. We both went to the same university. I can imagine this person opening it like, okay, like what?
Read that news to them. I see you went to university. I too went to the same university.
It was a big deal, first in my family. So I currently work at, I think it was Experian, a company that provides web. No, this is actually, so this is the first AI company that I worked for, 2011. I was selling AI solutions a long time ago, guys.
Okay, that's like a brush your shoulder off.
I was learning about machine learning, all this artificial intelligence, all these language models. I was like, this is very confusing. So yeah, I was hoping to introduce the company services to Yelp. I was just like, are you able to point me in the right direction? I didn't have everything we spoke about in the previous message. Like, did I find a contact? Like anything. So one thing is, this kind of question isn't, I tell you when it worked on the phone. You cold call switchboard and be like, hey, what's up, Mary? Because it was usually a Mary or a Susan or Rebecca. Like, hey, I'm calling from this kind of company. I wonder if you can help. But I even used to say then, like, I've got a few contacts. Who looks after sales or who looks after that?
Yeah.
But this keyword, are you able to provide me? But yes, like, are you able to point me in the right direction? Possibly provide a switchboard number. Can you help? Like, I was getting a bit desperate there.
Switchboard number. That's aggressive.
Yeah, I know. Like, give me something. So it was like I was asking without giving any value. Like, just hey, not only am I going to take 2.5 minutes of your time to read the text in a small screen on LinkedIn, but I'm also going to not give you anything other than we went to uni. Now this time around, of course, bit of Gary V, jab, 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 right hook, right? So give, and then ask for something, because over that amount of time you've built up consistency, hopefully some trust and credibility and reciprocity, and it's going to feel quite natural to that person, right? So I don't know, I can't even remember her title, the person who was there at the time, but ideally I'd want to make her feel like it's a good idea to introduce me to somebody else. So I can only do that, one, if I'm trustworthy, because you have to remember, when people are recommending or referring you, they put their brand on the line. So if I haven't told her who I am, what I'm about, that I'm trustworthy, 2011, I wasn't even posting on LinkedIn. Like, it was nothing, right? It's just like this head of this baby face and my job title and my resume. That's all it was on LinkedIn then. So you have to earn the right to be referred and recommended. And you do that by doing stuff that is valuable to that individual. And I always find events and stuff like that to be so useful. Or of course you check their profile. You know how it is. Check their profile, see what they're interested in. Don't go and check their kids out on Facebook. Very creepy, very weird. Don't do that. I know some of you Americans think that's okay. It's not. Just let you know, it's not okay.
Who's doing that?
I hear people. People are teaching it. People are teaching it. Just go on and check where their kids go to school.
I saw that you swam with dolphins in Cabo in 2007. How was it?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm experiencing memory loss. It was a long time ago. But yeah, so we want to shorten, give value, make it easy for them to recommend you and refer you, because you won't want to, like, have you ever had that friend that's like, hey, introduce me to your friend? And you're like, yes. I would never introduce you to my friend on any kind of date, on anything ever. So it's the same thing in business. Just make sure that you are credible enough to be referred.
Yeah, recently that happened, and I was like, yeah, I'll think if that is something that I feel called to. I will say, Hannah, one thing I liked about this message, and I may not use this exact script, but this final sentence, I understand this may be an effort on your part, so any help would be appreciated. I do like the acknowledgement or the recognition there. I send an email that is like asking for guidance. And it's like, and obviously this is when somebody has said no to me, there is some back and forth and some reports, not a cold message, but that simple acknowledgement that you are asking them for their time, you are asking them for their mental energy. It matters, I think.
No, I'm with you. And I've always done that from day one. Like, I always say humility wins. It always wins in outbound. You're not right. you are not certain. It's all a guesstimate. Everything we're doing until we interact with a prospect is a guess. Like, oh, it looks like you're working on this. It's a guess. We just see things online. We have to interact with them for it to be real. So I always encourage reps to talk about, yeah, hey, I understand that I might be, a little bit off the mark here, or I understand this may not be top of your priority list. Like, it's okay to say that. Like, I don't think there's anything wrong with just saying, I get it. It's a bit of work on you, but just recognizing that they are too a human with things that they're doing, and humans are flawed. So let's just make sure that we're balancing that.
So true. I had a cold call script that I used for years that was, I'm not sure if I'm barking up the wrong tree. And it worked like gold. I mean, I was calling energy executives in the deep South. So it may have been particular, like they're a bit of more of a chatty, sort of salt of the earth sort of crowd, but where I was like, not sure if I'm barking up the wrong tree, but I am looking for the person that heads up, and then it would be something super, super specific, and be like, my research tells me it's either you or blah, blah. Did I get it wrong?
Yeah, exactly. I had quite a few of those kind of messages.
Yeah.
Is this one message?
Yes, Hannah?
I should kick you off. I don't think Leslie deserves to be on this anymore. This is the Hannah show. This is ridiculous.
Just one message. Judy, do you have 5 to 8 hours to read this 4-paragraph, 50-sentence message? Poor Judy. I'm sorry, Judy.
What do you think Lavender Wills will say to this?
Well, first off, I use Reggie.
What do you think the Reggie team would say?
I think this would be 60%. It would definitely say don't send.
Don't send. Start again.
Just honestly, it would be easier to delete all and start again, Leslie.
Yeah.
I mean, did I really expect a stranger to read this? Let them forget replying. Did I expect a stranger to open up this message and be like, yes, I'm going to read this whole thing?
It's amazing.
Oh, it's so bad. 2014, so a decade ago, I was sending novels.
You've grown, Leslie. I'm proud of you.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
I've got a long message coming, haven't I? I hope not. No. What's coming next? I don't even know.
Now what I do is I really try to keep emails and LinkedIn messages 100 words or less. Yeah. But I send a lot of LinkedIn messages that are sentence.
Yeah.
It's adjacent to a thoughts bump, which you were kind of talking about earlier. Don't just say thoughts that's lazy. Thoughts about, give them the thing that you want their thoughts on, remove that friction, make it valuable. Because it is still social media.
Yeah.
Attention spans are short everywhere, but they're definitely short on social media. It's you have a bit of an essay yourself, Hannah.
I thought I was really hitting it with this message as well. Come on. Has anyone ever know that feeling, right? When you write a message and you're like, this is literally the message that's going to make me go straight to President's Club. Yes. You're like, this message.
I am brilliant. I have nailed it. This is it. Where's my crown?
Yeah. I was like, this is it. Mic drop before I even get a meeting. So what does it say? There's a lot of stuff here. So I tried to do, that was my personalization, setting the context in 2012. This is just so that they knew, this is, I thought about this message. Yeah. I thought about it. So we could have maybe made it smaller. And then it gets into, the company name was confusing as well. Our website wasn't really there. We had no branding, nothing. So it was very hard. So you want to build the marketing into the message. More importantly though, that why, that's a lot of words.
Words. That middle paragraph is thick.
Yeah. It is. There's a lot. This data, I literally, this is feature dump. This is what I experience with demos now. Look at all these flashy things that we can do. But I'm so excited by this AI tech. I just want everybody to know about it. Everybody. So what will you do this time around? Well, definitely less words. And I talk about proof-led interaction. So
Yeah.
this is like, so a bit like product-led growth, like proof-led interactions is going to be what I was mentioning before. So diagrams, images, videos, animations, anything that just is like this. So imagine if I shared a video. I mean, this functionality wasn't available back then, but if I shared a video and a Loom, within the Loom, what's that thing? The GIF like that lasts about 5 seconds. It showed like data just being pulled into something. That would be like, oh, that's my world, and that's it. I like the rest of the video. So I'd structure it so that the GIF highlighted the main functionality I wanted them to pick up on, because humans like to. There's a lot of research. I actually wrote this in my newsletter last week around experiential. The benefits of having experiences during a buying journey. It actually increases a prospect's feelings of regret if they don't take action and actually buy money. Rather, so it's like the opposite of buyer's remorse. So you want to give them something tangible, even if it's a service offering. You want to give them something to think and feel about. So because that technology was so impressive at the time, it would have been great to demonstrate in some way. So I'd want to do that this time. So I'd send a little message like, "Hey, look below. This could imagine what this could do for your team," or imagine like just that. So yeah, I try and do something closer to that. But this is awful. I'm sorry, Lucia. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Let me ask you this, Hannah.
Mm.
Folks that are listening, folks that have joined us right now, they want to try a proof-led interaction today. What's that like entryway? What's that toe in the water opportunity to get started with a proof-led interaction?
So one thing that I do more often now than I used to before is I say like, mind if I share some ideas on this subject or topic. So one thing is like, remember, most people don't read their LinkedIn messages, and some people don't. You don't even get the validation that they've read it because of the tick. They don't have that like thing on. So the people that do, it's just super warm, and then you get that kind of proof-led thing, and like, well, they've now granted me permission to send them something, even better. What I have done though is even when they don't, after a while, I'm like, oh, you know what the hell? Here you go, right? And you still see people go and interact with the stuff that you've sent. So I'd ask permission after a few days if they haven't responded. Just be like, I'll try my luck and share it, because remember, this only works if you are actually going after the right people. Don't just send it to some random person, because that's stupid, firstly, and it's very lazy. So make sure you're doing that right. But if you've got you don't like, people want to see 20 seconds this and 15 seconds that, just like, is it relevant? I don't want to read that when I can look at something visually, and we know that we process things better visually, and that's where all of our attention is. So if I can have a real type experience, the real is in REEL type experience, right? And then I have the option to go deeper, then that interaction, that call to action could be like me now engaging with that rep as a buyer, because I was like, oh, that taster was quite cool. It's like an appetizer. That's probably a better way to say it. Like an appetizer.
It reminds me of like the B2C play where you're getting them to click the see more.
Yeah. The see more, or in the store when they give you the free, they spray perfume at you and you're like, that smells nice, or it doesn't. Like, would you like a mini pretzel or like the freebie foods? And you're like, actually, I'm going to go line up now. Just give them that appetizer. I think that's like, people want to, because of the volume now, just give out as many appetizers as possible, because someone's going to ask for the main meal, and that's where all the luck is. So.
Yeah, well, I always want the mini pretzel. So
me too.
It's always a yes for me. I agree so much about the ungatekeeping of information. And this is really a massive change that we have seen. I would say in the last 5 years, but like, I think it started like 10 years ago. In the last 5 years, we've really seen that like folks aren't even requiring emails in exchange for email or for information. And one of the things I always try to keep in mind, because like you, I literally sell my intellectual property. So it's a delicate balance, right? Like, how much knowledge can I give away without giving away all the knowledge that people should be paying me for? And what I try to keep in mind is that I can tell people the why it matters and the what it is till the cows come home, because they still don't have the bandwidth or the internal know-how to do it. They don't have the how to implement it internally, and that's what they will come and pay me for. So for folks that might be thinking, well, I don't want to give too much away.
Yeah.
Don't stress.
It's fine, honestly. It's a hard mindset shift, but it's fine. Nobody does it. You know, how many people have signed up to the gym and haven't been gym? How many, like, we don't do stuff. We're just so lazy. Like we just want to. So like people don't do stuff, right? They will go on, they'll download all your guides, they'll read it and be like, this is so good. And then they'll get distracted with Love is Blind and they won't come back to it. And then you'll hit them up and they'll be like, actually, you know what? I meant to come in contact with you because I ain't doing that. Thanks for the information. But remember that giveaway is that trust building. So you might have a big presence online, but the next thing is so I'm building trust, then I establish trust. So you build trust by maybe that an early interactions in the way you're communicating with a prospect. And they're like, you're not like an average salesperson. The next thing is establish trust. I'm going to give you something of value that validates that I am someone that you can trust, something very targeted, something that solves a problem for them. And then they're like, oh, well, that was pretty neat. What else you got, right? Now, so that's what we want to think through. So don't worry about sharing. I'm sharing even more as well now, just releasing more content on YouTube. So I get it. Give it away.
Yeah. It is a mindset shift, and I'll pull that thread of like removing friction forward one more time, because I am seeing more reps try to lead with the deposit before ask mindset, but they are still getting it wrong. And then they're like, that doesn't work to make deposits. That doesn't work to give. And it is because they are sharing like a full case study, a full report, a full white paper. And they are then asking their prospect to do the heavy lifting of both understanding why it was sent to them in the first place, and then going through the whole white paper to get the nugget of value. So the pivot is twofold. One, pull the little blip out of it. That's the reason you're sending it to them. So if it's a case study, it's like pull the quote, the one quote out. This is the quote that the person said that reminded me of the challenge you shared. Thought you'd find it interesting. You can read the full case study in the PS. Or, hey, here's an 80-page report, but the insights shared on pages 12 and 13 speak to exactly what your CEO's goals are this year. Let me know if you'd like a copy of the full white paper, or maybe you make a little infographic. Whatever it is, don't share these massive, massive documents, because you've not earned the right to ask them to read an 80-page white paper. But you can get there by removing that friction, by making it relevant and specific.
Love it.
Yeah, great. Okay, more essays. What do we have next?
Oh, I have no idea.
Oh, not an essay.
Why is this message so long? The questions. That's a big part. The questions. Asking too many questions. Like, what exactly? Could you add 3 directions into Google? I think you can actually. You can add stations. So actually, no, you can.
But they're each still an individual destination.
Yeah. It's just, exactly. It's all these different destinations.
Yeah, whereas this is just like me vomiting questions all over the place. So this one's pretty recent as well. And when I was going through, I tried to pull a mix of like, the like circa a decade ago ones, and then also ones that I've sent pretty recently. Because it's like nobody's perfect, folks. And part of selling is that you're gonna get it wrong sometimes, but like keep going out and doing your level best. So 2020, just 4 years ago. And why is this so long? What is my call to action? It's hard to say. Do I want to know if they've heard of Intrivo? Do I want to know if they own their COVID protocols? Do I want to know if they want the follow-up documents? It's hard to say. Yes, no, I guess. And I see this a lot in reps emails as well, where they will have multiple calls to action, which makes it very difficult for the prospect to take any action, because you're asking them to do so much. What I do like about this message is that instead of just blasting a bunch of information over to them, I am asking if they want that information. And I am really clear about both the value they would get and also the pain they would avoid. So there are some things I like about this message, but what I hate about this message is the length and the three different questions that create an impossible to follow call to action.
Yeah, it's like it's not terrible, but it's just it's busy. I'm reading it like it's where should we go from here? And of course, we know that it can be shorter.
Yeah, it can be shorter, and I think you know what this is? It's a like a cold call script. Like this would actually work like really well as a cold call script. But I have it in a LinkedIn DM as well. Michelle has a question here about asking multiple questions. I would say yes, it is okay to ask more than one question at a time. But these are three different questions in three different directions. So it's not like I'm not building a story or a narrative through my question asking. So what I might do is delete the "have you heard of Intrivo" and replace that whole first sentence with one, or that whole first paragraph with one sentence that was a more like relevant, why am I sending you specifically this message? But you could still keep in like, do you own COVID protocols? If you own COVID protocols, here's the thing I'd like to send you as a follow-up. Do you want that? Because then it's one narrative. I'm going in one direction on the Google Maps instead of all over the place. So my take is yes, it's okay to ask more than one question, but be thoughtful about them all pointing in the same way. What's your take?
So I prefer one question, and I prefer to flip the other questions into assumptions. So I'm assuming you haven't heard of Intrivo. I prefer to do that. I don't know if they highly likely to or not. So if they're highly likely to, then I'd assume they are. And then I like what you said, like if you own COVID protocols, then take this next action with me, type thing. So yeah, I try to do one question, and then just assume everything else, and hopefully if I'm wrong. And that kind of like PS statement is, I may have got it slightly wrong here, but feel free to, kind of fill in the gaps.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, I love that. Okay, we have at least one more message left that we can get to before our delightful laugh and learn is done. I think this is a favorite because it's something that I see folks get so wrong with, like their disingenuous personalization.
Oh man,
congrats!
I gave everybody this. But this is the thing. A bit like Cynthia, I genuinely am happy. Like I've been managed out and I've been fired before. So I'm like, that new job feeling, I'm genuinely happy. But the automated one that LinkedIn gives out.
Yeah.
So it's like on the 20th, I'm like, congrats on a new job. And the guy was like, thanks. And then I'm like, oh, did some more research. Have you been in contact with I've been in contact with your team. It's just like, what?
Yeah.
There's no flow, there's no continuation. Now, when I go back to messages and realize I messaged someone this crappy message like 7 years ago, I'll say, oh, that message was terrible. Like I'll literally go in today and be like, I now I see why you didn't respond to my previous message seven years ago. And then I'll get to the point now, only because it's funny. And LinkedIn does not delete anything. So it's kind of always there. It's just like, thanks. But yeah, the irrelevant compliments, don't say things that are disingenuous to you if you don't care. I'm someone a bit like Cynthia's point. I really care. I will send very thoughtful messages to people if they have got a new role in their DM, not because I want to sell to them, but just generally because it's a connection. And I'm like, actually, this, I've seen what they've posted in the past. I want to just say that, I hope this is the best thing. And before I used to do the happy birthday one as well. I used to also communicate with people around that when you got the alert. And I remember saying happy birthday and someone said, thank you, you've made my day. That's the only happy birthday I've received. So it's like the fact that I can probably produce that feeling for someone makes me do it. It will make me say, hey, I really hope like you have the best birthday this year. Because particularly during COVID, I sent that to everyone because I'm like, I don't know if you've lost someone close to you. Everybody's losing people. So this birthday may feel different. And I just was like, this is my character. So if it's not your character, don't do it. But if you are like that, then do it. But yeah, it was shorter. So I was getting better.
Yeah.
I obviously valued my time a bit more. But I did say, like, I've actually been in contact with your team. I was very specific. But again, it was it's really the authenticity around the kindness that was just like, it was a bit of an empty statement there. But again, yeah, like it would be a good to have a call next week. Let's switch that to, would you find value in learning more? Would you find value in, would you like me to share a bit more info? Or even like, I've been in contact with your team, be literal. I always say remove ambiguity out of messaging. Don't let people guess which team, what team, who, how, like, woman, man. Like, be very specific. I spoke to Stephen in your team in the London office. Then it's like, okay, now he knows to go to Stephen. Like, who is this Hannah person? So yeah, be more genuine. Stick to your character. Be authentically yourself, and be literal. So remove all the ambiguity, and so people don't have to guess. And that friction. There you go, Leslie. Is there again?
Yeah, friction. Friction was the theme. You're so right. Like, we know psychologically, like, we have the data to show that specificity equals believability and credibility. So it's why messages like, oh, I've chatted with your team, or executives like you, or people in your space, they do not carry as much weight as saying Stephen in the London office, or CHROs in the CPG sector. Like, the more specific you can be, the more credible and believable your message is. So a big plus one to that. The more time I've spent on LinkedIn, the more frustrated I get by the LinkedIn automated messages. So I actually now change my auto reply on days where I have, and you also don't get to choose. Like, LinkedIn will just blast out your like anniversary on something, and you open your inbox and you have 123 messages from people being like, congrats on your anniversary. And I'm like, for what? I literally have 9 different roles.
Yeah, like, yeah. What is it? Yeah.
Like, what? And also, like, that I'm a content creator, go comment on the post then. Like, if you really want to support me.
Please comment on the post. Listen, everyone, I love the DMs, but stop sending me an essay about my post in my DM. Go write it on the post or abbreviate it.
Yes.
Oh, Hannah, I really love your post. This is what's happening. But I'm like, go put on the post.
Unless it's unsafe to do so.
Of course.
That's fine. But like, that is 1 in every 100 people that's in my DMs. I'm like, just please comment on the post. I literally get paid for this. Like, please, you really want to help, just go comment on the post. But I will say, to this message, this was the closest one I saw in all of the messages that we chose to put forward today, that was like the connect and spam kind of, but I mean, it isn't. Like, you were already connected.
Yeah, I was connected for a little while.
Yeah. But in our final seconds here, the connect and spam is the one I get the most questions about. So if you had like one sentence of advice for folks that are like, how do I stay social and also sell? What would it be?
I really feel like think about your LinkedIn network as a Michelin restaurant. Like, once someone connects with you, you're now in my world, and I'm trying to curate an experience for you. So I'm going to let you know who I am without telling you what I do. Just like, hey, really glad we're connected. Honestly, connected with you. Really excited by what I'm high energy. So I'm like, I'm excited to see what comes of this connection. Like, who knows, right? But I also say, hey, just a quick one. I share content. That's all I say. I say I share content on this, and this. Let me know which topics stand out for you. Or if I wasn't a content creator, I'd say, hey, this is what this is how I use LinkedIn. Let me know how you use it. Again, share first, like, give, so they know what the context of the conversation is. So you like curate the experience for your network and try your hardest to get into a pattern of, on Fridays or the quiet times, just send in voice notes. Hey, really glad we were able to connect this week. Really excited to see what comes of this connection. Oh, by the way, and just if you have something relevant in that moment to say, which is, there's an event, I just realized that you're connected to my uncle, just something just as random as that, but just share something, but don't ask for anything. Right? Don't ask for anything. And I think that's kind of how I try to just stay connected to people. And I've been messaging people one-on-one every time I have a minute. Now, just saying, hey, I'm being very intentional this year about supporting my network. And I've got a LinkedIn Calendly. It's literally called LinkedIn Networking, and it's got a whole agenda in it, which is, I have no agenda. So I send that to people that, hey, if you're open to coffee chats, then let's do that. And it's great things have come out of those coffee chats. Doesn't matter who you're meeting with, you'll be surprised.
I have a dedicated coffee chat link too.
Yeah.
Yeah, brilliant. So many themes in here that I loved, like the reciprocity, leading with genuine curiosity,
Mm.
removing friction, earning the right. These are also the same exact topics that both of us talk about on LinkedIn daily, if not weekly. So make sure that you are following both Hannah and I on LinkedIn. Ring our bells so you get notified of our best content. We are actual LinkedIn top voices, blue badge.
Since 2021. Since 2021. I didn't even know what it was. So I was like, this looks cool.
2021.
Yeah. I'm an
Ooh, that's a
OG.
huge deal.
I'm an OG. I need to put that on my profile. Yeah. I think I was the first round of top voices. I thought it was a prank. I had no idea what it was.
Okay, I also thought mine was a prank. I almost deleted the message.
Me too.
That's a conversation for another time.
Yes.
For this conversation, for this laugh and learn, I hope y'all laughed. I hope y'all learned. Hannah, this was a treat. Thank you.
I'm getting messages from people in the comments, invite and their connect invite saying, I hope this message finds you well. I'm going to kill all of you.
Congrats on your laugh and learn.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. No, this has been great. Should we do it again? Leave a comment.
I would love
to
do this again.
We have to.
Yes.
Right.
Okay. We will. We will. It's a deal.
I love this.
Thanks, everybody. Have a great day.
Everyone. Thank you.